In the center of the galaxy, there was a place called the Galactic Council Chambers. It was the most important room in the known universe. Inside, leaders from hundreds of alien species gathered every cycle to talk, argue, and make big decisions. About peace, war, trade, and laws. The room was huge, like a stadium, with floating seats and glowing lights. Each species had its own section. Some floated in air, others crawled or slithered, and a few even spoke through machines. But all of them, every single one, came with weapons. Some wore laser swords. Others had armor made from black holes. Some even brought robot bodyguards. Or small warships floating beside them. It was normal. It was tradition. No one questioned it, until the humans walked in. 3 of them, quiet, calm, and completely unarmed, no weapons. No armor, no guards. Just black suits and cold eyes. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Even the buzz of alien voices stopped. Everyone watched the humans as they walked to their seats like they owned the room. Not a smile, not a word. Just silence and calm. A young alien diplomat from the Zarnak species leaned toward his elder. His skin was blue and glowing, and his voice was shaky. Why are the humans not carrying anything? He asked in a whisper. Are they ... not allowed? The elder, a wise and very old Zarnak, looked nervous. He didn't answer right away. Then he spoke quietly, without looking at the human section. They are not allowed to carry weapons, he said. That much is true, but not for their safety, for ours. The younger one blinked. What do you mean? The elder sighed. You are young. You did not see what happened cycles ago. Before the rule. He looked at the humans now. There was a day ... a terrible day. Before the law was made. A day we do not speak of. On the other side of the chamber, a large alien general from the Vroth Empire was also watching the humans. His kind were huge and powerful, covered in red armor. He growled, "Look at them. Weak and small, no claws, no fire. Why do we fear them?" Beside him, his second in command said nothing. He remembered that day. He had seen what a human could do when angry. The council began its meeting. Voices filled the air. Debates started, trade routes, border disputes, and military pacts. But still, many eyes kept looking at the humans. They sat quietly, listening, watching, saying very little. One of them, a tall man with silver hair, finally stood. "I request the floor," he said in a calm voice. His voice was not loud. But somehow, everyone heard him clearly. The air changed. Even the Vroth general stopped speaking. The Grand Speaker of the Council, a creature with 12 glowing eyes and a mouth that sang in 5 tones, gave a small nod. "You may speak, human." "Representative," the speaker said. The human walked slowly to the center of the chamber. No fear, no rush, just stillness. His eyes scanned the crowd like a predator. "We hear your concerns," he said. "We understand your fears, but I must remind this council. The reason we are unarmed is not because we cannot carry weapons." He paused. "It is because when humans carry weapons, others die." Silence. Complete silence. The younger Zarnak looked confused. "Is he joking?" His elder shook his head. "No, he is warning us," the human continued. "There was a time when we came with swords and ships just like the rest of you. We fought wars. We bled. We lost." His voice became colder. "But then, during one council meeting, someone tried to test us. Someone attacked." A few members in the crowd shifted uncomfortably. They remembered, vividly. "We responded, without hesitation, without mercy. And that day, this chamber burned." The human turned and walked back to his seat. The Vroth general leaned back, thinking hard now. He had always believed his species was the strongest. But that memory, the flash of a human crushing a battle droid with bare hands, was still fresh in his mind. The council continued. But something had changed. The young Zarnak leaned close again. But sir, how can they be so dangerous without weapons? The elder looked at him. Because, child, humans are the only species in this galaxy whose true weapon is not outside their body, it's inside their minds. The camera drones that floated through the chamber kept recording. Billions of citizens across the galaxy watched the broadcast, and on every planet, in every system, the same question echoed: why are humans unarmed? And the quiet, chilling answer followed: because when they are armed, no one survives. Many years before the council made the rule, the chamber was a very different place. Back then, humans were still new. They had just joined the Galactic Council. Most alien species didn't take them seriously. To many, they were strange, soft-skinned, small creatures from a far corner of the galaxy. They didn't have claws or wings or acid blood. They didn't breathe fire or crush metal with their hands. Some even laughed when they saw humans. Tiny, weak, emotional. Too emotional. But that was before the day everything changed. The council meeting that cycle started like any other. Delegates arrived in flying ships and glowing pods. The chamber filled with energy and voices in hundreds of languages. As always, the weapons came too. Laser rifles, plasma cannons, bodyguard bots, venom-spraying suits, everyone armed, proud, and ready for anything. Including the humans. That day, the humans walked in wearing simple black armor. Not shiny, not advanced, just practical. 2 humans, 1 male, 1 female. Calm, focused, polite. They carried only sidearms. Small weapons by council standards. Many species ignored them. Some mocked them quietly. A few looked nervous, the few who had fought humans before. The meeting began with political talk, border lines, trade complaints, a missing cargo ship in the Nebula Zone. But something felt off. Some delegates looked nervous. Others kept checking their translators. Whispers moved from one corner to another, like cold wind through empty halls. And then it happened. A ship exploded outside the council ring. The sound was distant, but sharp enough to stop the meeting. The chamber lights flickered. Security bots dropped from the ceiling, but it was already too late. They had arrived. A warlike alien race. Long thought extinct, the Trakaneri stormed the council from hidden positions. They had disguised themselves as diplomats from a minor moon colony. In truth, they were assassins, soldiers, and madmen. In less than 30 seconds, half the chamber was under attack. Council guards were shot down. Drones were hacked. Fires spread. Screams echoed. Chaos ruled. Species who were allies just minutes ago turned on each other, confused and scared. Some tried to run. Some drew weapons and fired blindly. A few tried to hide behind shields. And in the middle of it all stood the 2 humans. Unmoving. The female looked at the male. He gave a short nod. Without a word, they dropped their sidearms to the floor. The alien attackers didn't even notice them at first. They were focused on bigger threats, the Vroth tanks, the Kralin blasters, the defensive barriers. That was their mistake. The human female moved first. She stepped forward calmly, her eyes locked on the lead Trakaneri general. She didn't run. She didn't shout. She simply walked. The Trakaneri fired a plasma bolt at her head. It missed, barely. She ducked, stepped sideways, and then closed the distance in a blink. She grabbed his arm, twisted it, and snapped it like a dry branch. Before the others could react, she had already taken the alien's blade and used it. Not like a sword, but like a surgeon. Clean, fast, silent. The male human moved next. He was slower, heavier, but just as deadly. He picked up a piece of broken metal and used it like a hammer, crushing skulls, breaking bones. No fear, no hesitation. No mercy. Within 2 minutes, 8 Trakaneri were down. 5 dead, 3 screaming. All without a single shot fired by the humans. Security footage would later show the exact timeline. From the moment the attack started to the moment it ended. Only 4 minutes passed. By the end, the chamber was burning. Dozens injured. Many dead. And in the center stood the 2 humans, covered in blood, breathing hard, still weaponless. The other species watched in shock. The strongest warriors in the galaxy had struggled, panicked, or failed. Only the humans had responded like machines. No armor, no backup, no fear. Just focus, precision, and something darker behind their eyes. The Draconary survivors were captured. Their plan had failed, but their actions had started something much bigger. In the emergency meeting that followed, one rule was proposed immediately. From this day forward, humans shall not carry weapons within the council chambers. Some objected. They said it was unfair. Others argued it was disrespectful. But then, the footage was shown. The quiet, cold brutality, the speed, the lack of hesitation, and the look in the humans' eyes, not joy, not pride, but control. Like something inside them had wanted to go further, but they had held it back. The vote passed in under 10 minutes. One of the fastest decisions in council history. The humans didn't protest. In fact, they agreed. One of them, the same silver-haired man who now leads their delegation, simply said, "You're welcome." Since that day, humans have walked into the council alone. No weapons. No guards, but no one laughs anymore. And every species knows the same truth. The day humans are armed again is the day we all fall. After the day of the attack, the day when 2 unarmed humans saved the entire council chamber, something changed. Not just in politics or rules, but in fear. Fear had a new shape. It looked human. Leaders across the galaxy began to whisper. Why were humans so calm in danger? How could they fight so brutally, so fast, without any weapons or training bots? Many believed it was evolution. Some said it was their planet, full of wild beasts, disease, war, and pain. Others claimed it was magic, or even dark energy, but a few wanted real answers. Scientific ones. So, the Galactic Science Union, a group of top alien minds, made a quiet decision. Study the human brain. Not just scans and blood tests. They wanted to understand the core of the human mind. What makes them act the way they do? Why do they smile during danger? Why do they cry for strangers, then break steel in the next moment? And most importantly, what wakes up inside a human when they are truly threatened? So a secret project was born. It was called Project Silent Core. The scientists chose a peaceful human colony, Terra Outpost 9, a place with volunteers, no weapons, and a high trust rating with the council. They invited a group of humans for advanced brain research. The humans agreed, curious, open, cooperative. As they often were, the tests started simple: reflex checks, puzzle solving, memory games. All normal. Then came fear response studies, flashing lights, loud sounds, fake fire. The humans barely reacted. The scientists increased pressure. They showed them violent images, fake battlefield scenes, even staged arguments. Still calm. Then came the final phase, emotional pressure. They tried everything: isolation, sad memories, recorded voices from dead relatives, even synthetic pain. That's when something strange happened. One subject, a young human woman named Kara, began to hum, just softly, a song from her childhood. Her brainwaves, which had been calm, suddenly spiked. Not in fear, not in panic. In focus. Her heart rate slowed, her eyes narrowed. She smiled, not a kind smile, a predator's smile. The scientists paused the test. Some wanted to stop, but a few were excited. They believed they were close to a discovery no species had ever made before: the human battle state. One alien researcher, A six-eyed creature from the planet Velner wrote in his notes, "Humans do not evolve rage the way other species do. It is not random, it is not wild, it is controlled." Another added, "When triggered, the human brain shuts down fear and pain and replaces it with purpose. A purpose more dangerous than any weapon." One final test was planned. The humans were told it would be a virtual reality challenge, a simulation, but it was not in a hidden chamber. A group of alien soldiers were sent in, trained, armed, ordered to surprise the humans with a mock attack. No real harm. The science leaders said, "Just pressure. Let's see how far they go." The room was locked, cameras on, observers ready. What they saw was not expected. The moment the fake attack began, Kara froze. She did not scream. She did not hide. She simply stared at the attackers. Then, she moved too fast. She grabbed a chair, threw it. One soldier hit the wall. The next was disarmed before he could blink. She took hits, but didn't stop. Her face calm, eyes blank. The room was cleared in under 60 seconds. No human had been trained in combat. Yet, none were injured. And every alien attacker had been disabled. Not killed, but close. Bones broken, nerves stunned. One was still shaking hours later. Scientists were silent. The lead researcher, a logical species with no emotion, said slowly, "This is not instinct. This is not chaos. This is something else." Word spread fast. Even though the project was secret, rumors leaked into military networks, security logs, and shadow governments. Whispers became warnings. Do not corner a human. Do not test a human's calm. Their rage is not like ours. It is colder. Even the most aggressive species began to treat humans differently. They smiled at them, spoke softly, avoided conflict, not out of respect, out of survival. Back in the council, when the report was quietly delivered to the Grand Speaker, the message was short. Humans are not dangerous because they carry weapons. They are dangerous because they don't need them. From that day, Project Silent Core was shut down. Files were sealed. Researchers were told never to speak of it again. Some agreed. Others vanished. The humans, as always, said nothing. They had known this truth for generations. It was in their history, in their stories, in their blood. They called it different things: survival mode, fight or flight, instinct. But one human commander, long ago, had said it best: "We look calm. We are calm. But if you push us into a corner, you'll meet something inside us. We don't even like meeting ourselves." And so the galaxy slowly learned the truth. The most dangerous weapon in the universe is the human mind under pressure. There are some things in the galaxy that science cannot explain, not because they are too complex, but because they are too dark, too uncomfortable. Too real. And one of those things lives inside a human. They don't talk about it. They don't name it. Some don't even know it exists until it wakes up. It was many cycles after the council rule was passed. Humans were no longer allowed to carry weapons inside the council chamber. Everyone accepted this without question. But some species didn't believe the stories. They thought the rumors were exaggerated, legends made larger with time. One of them was the Shirak Dominion, a proud, powerful race with 8 limbs, strong armor skin, and a deep belief in physical strength. To them, fear was weakness. They had never lost a war. They ruled 3 systems by force, not words. And they had no patience for human myths. So when they heard about Project Silent Core and the so-called human mental state, they laughed. "If a human can't lift a rock," said Commander Kuro of the Shirak, "how can it lift fear?" The Dominion sent a request to the Galactic Council: permission to run neutral test. Not to harm, not to insult, just to study. The council was divided. Many warned them not to proceed. Even the Velner, known for their cruel logic, sighed, "You are playing with fire. But this fire thinks." But the Shirak would not listen. The test was approved. It would take place in a secure observation chamber deep beneath the neutral moon of Archon Prime. The room had reinforced walls, gravity control, and no weapons. Purely fists, mind, and reaction. The volunteer? A human named Mason Halla. No military record, no history of violence. Just a quiet man from Earth who worked in terraforming design. His file said he liked gardening, the perfect subject. The plan was simple. Mason would be placed in a locked room. Then, a trained Shirak warrior would enter, unarmed, and apply pressure, through intimidation, aggression, and mild physical force. Nothing deadly. Nothing permanent. Just pressure. The room was white and empty, with only 2 chairs. Mason sat calmly, legs crossed, looking around. He seemed relaxed, even a little bored. The observers watched from behind glass walls. The Shirak warrior entered. His name was Tharnkesh, known for breaking bones during training, just to test strength. Twice the size of Mason, 4 arms. Battle scars glowing under his skin. He walked in and stood over the human. Mason looked up and smiled slightly. "Hello." Tharnkesh didn't reply. He kicked the chair away. The human didn't move. Tharnkesh circled him, speaking in a deep growl. "Stand up, human. Let's test what your kind is hiding." Mason tilted his head. "Test what?" "The monster inside," the warrior growled. For a moment, Mason said nothing. Then he stood slowly. He was average height. Unimpressive. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "But you will," Tharnkesh replied, and shoved him. Mason stumbled back. He didn't react with anger. He didn't even frown. He just looked confused. Is this part of the test? The warrior hit him again, harder. Mason fell to one knee. Still no fight. Still no rage. Then Tharnkesh grabbed him by the collar and whispered something no translator could fully catch. But one word came through clearly: weakling. That's when it happened. Not a shout. Not a scream. Just a pause. Then Mason slowly looked up and smiled, but it was not a warm smile. Not friendly. It was empty. Dead. His eyes changed. Not glowing, not red. Just cold, like a door had opened inside. Him and something else had stepped forward. The observers leaned forward. The machines began to beep. Heart rate, steady. Breath, steady. Brainwaves, off the charts. Then Mason moved fast. Too fast. He twisted out of Tharnkesh's grip and struck 3 points in less than 1 second. Throat, joint, lower ribs. The warrior staggered. Shocked. He tried to hit back, but Mason wasn't there anymore. He had already moved, behind, to the side, low, high. Like water, like a shadow. A moment later, Tharnkesh was on the floor, gasping, his limbs twitching. Mason stood over him, still calm, still breathing slow. He turned to the glass wall and stared directly at the observers. His voice, when he spoke, was quiet, controlled. "You wanted to see the monster." He walked toward the glass. "Well," he touched the wall. The glass hissed under his fingers. "Now you've seen it." Then, without warning, he collapsed. Doctors rushed in. Mason was unconscious. Heart rate normal. No damage but his brain. Scans showed something terrifying. 2 different neurological states. One, peaceful, calm, cooperative. The other, focused, violent, unstoppable. They called it the shift, a biological system that no other species had. A mental doorway that opens only under threat, and once opened, could not be closed easily. The warrior survived, but refused to speak again. He left the Dominion military and vanished. The Shirak withdrew their challenge. Their pride broken, the council sealed the chamber. And from that day, a new warning was added to the Galactic Codex. Do not push a human beyond their peace. For what comes next does not care who you are. Mason Halley never remembered what happened. He said he blacked out. Felt like falling into a cold ocean. But some believe he did remember. He just chose to forget. Because whatever lives inside a human at the edge of fear is not a beast. It's not a soldier. It's a mirror. A reflection of every violent thought, every survival instinct, every dark corner of what it means to be human. And that monster? It doesn't growl. It waits. Asterisk, it began as whispers. Quiet words passed between commanders in dark control rooms. Secret messages from diplomats to their governments. Warnings hidden inside classified reports. They all said the same thing. Do not touch the humans. Not because they were protected, not because they had powerful weapons, but because they didn't. Across the galaxy, every species had its warriors. The Vroth with their rage storms, the Zarnak with mind-spike technology, the Kreelians with living armor made of electric slime. Their power was visible, loud and proud. But the humans? They came in silence. They wore smiles instead of armor. They offered handshakes instead of threats. They walked unguarded through battlefields and war zones with empty hands and steady eyes, and the galaxy was starting to realize the most terrifying creature is the one who doesn't need to show power on a cold, desert planet in the outer systems. A young Zalvan patrol officer leaned against his armored truck. He was new to the job, nervous, energetic. Beside him stood an older officer with tired eyes and deep scars across his gray skin. Look, the younger one said, pointing toward a group of unarmed travelers entering the city gate. That group, no bodyguards, no weapons, humans. Must be an easy watch, huh? The older officer didn't answer. Sir? The recruit asked again, chuckling. They don't even look strong. The veteran turned slowly. His voice was like dust. You think that makes them safe? The recruit blinked. Well, yeah. If they're unarmed, that's when they're most dangerous. The younger one laughed awkwardly. You're joking, right? The veteran said nothing. He just opened his sleeve and showed the old scars on his arm, healed. Deep, jagged. 20 cycles ago, he said, I watched one human tear through a troop carrier with a wrench. Just a wrench. No suit, no plan. Just fury. And after it was over, he looked the recruit dead in the eyes. He cried, not because he was hurt, but because he had tried not to do it. The young recruit fell silent. All across the known galaxy, similar stories appeared in mining colonies, border stations, even elite academies. The message was unspoken but clear. If a human walks away from a fight, let them. In a war. Strategy school on the planet Glavix Prime. An alien instructor addressed a full class of cadets. Today's lesson: threat prioritization in combat. On the screen appeared images of various species: giant lizard beasts, warbots, plasma beasts, flame-breathing MECHS. Then came the image of a human, short, soft-skinned, no armor, hands in pockets. One cadet raised a tentacle. Sir, why is that species ranked higher than the Vroth juggernaut? The room chuckled. The instructor didn't. He turned, locked eyes with the class, and said, because the Vroth wants you to know it's dangerous. The human doesn't care if you know. He clicked the next slide. A grainy video played. Security cam footage from a remote embassy base. A robbery gone wrong. One human, 4 attackers. No weapons. In under 12 seconds, it was over. One attacker fled. The other 3 never walked again. The human was later seen apologizing to the medics. The video ended. The room was silent, and so the fear grew, not loud, not violent, but slow and steady. Like cold water filling a dark room, some species tried to test the truth themselves. On the moon world of Hevler 6, a group of pirates captured a trade ship. Aboard was a single human engineer named Liam Dovins. They laughed when they found him. Just one? The pirate leader grinned. No weapons, no escort? They chained him, pushed him, mocked him. The ship never left orbit. 3 hours later, distress beacons lit up the sky. Rescue crews found the pirate ship floating, dead and dark. No power. Doors sealed from the inside. All 20 pirates were unconscious, locked in escape pods. Humans sat calmly in the control room. No blood, no bruises, just tired eyes. When asked what happened, he said, "I told them not to push me. They thought it was funny. I stopped laughing first." No charges were filed. No questions were asked. The ship logs were mysteriously erased by a virus no one could trace. And once again, the whispers returned. Unarmed human, still alive. Don't provoke. At the council itself, even the high-ranking delegates had changed. One day, during a tense session, a loud debate broke out between the Vroth and the Krills. Voices rose, accusations flew. War threats were spoken. In the middle of the noise, a human ambassador named Dr. Ellen Reed stood and calmly said, "If either of you attacks here, we will leave this table." The Vroth general scoffed. What difference would that make? The room quieted. Dr. Reed looked at him and said something that echoed in the council's memory for cycles to come. "You misunderstand. We are not leaving to escape. We are leaving so you survive." Not a single sound followed. That night, 5 council members updated their emergency protocols, just in case, because now they all understood the truth. Fear does not come from the sharpness of a blade. Fear comes from knowing. The blade is never drawn unless there's no other choice. Humans didn't ask for this fear. They didn't enjoy it, but they accepted it, because somewhere deep inside, under the peace, the diplomacy, the calm words, they carried something older than war, something born in caves, in forests, in burning cities, on empty battlefields, something that wasn't turned on by command, but unleashed by threat. The galaxy had seen strength before, but it had never seen strength that refused to be shown until it was far too late. So when a new alien species joins the council, they are always warned, usually by a quiet older voice. If you meet a human, they say, "Be kind, be calm." But if they walk toward you, unarmed and smiling, walk the other way. Asterisk for cycles. The council chamber had lived in uneasy silence when it came to humans. They arrived unarmed. They spoke softly. They voted wisely. And then they left, like ghosts with warm faces. Some respected them, some feared them, and some hated not understanding them. One of them was High Warlord Jiwar, Thal of the Harnack Dominion, a towering creature of armor, horns, and reputation. His people had conquered 7 systems in just 1 solar decade. To them, strength was law. Weapons were birthrights. They believed fear was a tool, not a weakness. G. Rathel had watched the humans from his high seat for years. Watched them walk into the chamber without guards, without tech, without fear. And every time, the same question burned in his mind. What are they hiding? One cycle, during a heated debate over territory rights, Garthel finally stood. His voice, like rolling thunder, silenced the chamber. "I will no longer bow to ghost stories," he roared. "I will no longer tolerate rules made from fear. I challenge the humans to prove their power, or admit they have none." The air shifted. Every eye turned to the human delegation. There were only 2 present that day, Ambassador Silas Wren and his aide, a young woman named Avery Quinn, both dressed in gray formal clothes, no armor, no weapons, just small pins. On their jackets, the symbol of Earth. Silas stood, calmly adjusting his collar. "I do not accept your challenge," he said simply. Gasps followed. Some snickered. G. Rethel grinned. "Cowardice confirmed." But Silas raised a hand. "I do not accept it," he repeated, "because I do not need to." Guffel stepped forward. Refusing a formal duel is admission of weakness. Silas didn't flinch. And accepting one is often admission of fear. The chamber went still. It wasn't the words. It was the calm behind them, the still, cold lake behind the glassy surface. But then, something unexpected happened. Avery Quinn, the aide, stepped forward and whispered to Silas. He looked at her, and for a moment, his eyes showed hesitation. She nodded once, then turned to the council. Accept the challenge. Shock rippled through the chamber. Retho laughed. You are not even a soldier. No, she said, voice steady. I'm a diplomatic trainee, but that should be enough. The duel was scheduled for 1 solar rotation later. The arena would be neutral. No weapons, no armor, no tricks. 1-on-1. The challenge was legal under Hanak tradition and council law. Still, many protested. Some tried to stop it. But the law was the law, and Avery Quinn had signed her name. Arena was built inside a gravity-controlled dome above the gas giant Sirian. Clear walls gave full view to the council members, who sat in private chambers around the dome. Billions across the galaxy tuned in to watch the broadcast. One unarmed human versus one of the strongest warlords in the galaxy. The countdown began. When the doors opened, Garthel stormed in first. He wore nothing but a light tunic, not out of honor, but arrogance. His muscles rippled with each step. His claws clicked. His breath steamed. Then came Avery. She walked in alone, hands by her side, her expression unreadable. Gthel towered over her, 4 times her weight. His shadow swallowed her form. The moment the buzzer sounded, he roared and charged. The entire council leaned forward, but Avery didn't move. She watched him come, watched the charge, watched the claws rise. Then, in less than a heartbeat, she stepped aside. It looked impossible, like water flowing away from a falling boulder. Guthel's momentum carried him forward. He stumbled, growled, turned. This time he swung wide. She ducked, slid under him. Her foot tapped his knee. A simple tap. The warlord screamed. His leg gave out. He dropped, howling, confused. Avery stood over him now. Her hands still hadn't formed fists. You fight with noise, she said, and wait for fear. She crouched and looked into his eyes. We fight when fear has already passed. Vevel swung again, from the ground. This time her elbow connected. A single, clean strike to his throat. Not to kill. To silence. He fell backward, gasping. Duel ended. Silence filled the arena. Not because the fight was over, but because everyone had seen it. There were no tricks. No powers. No violence for pleasure. Just a precise, emotionless, clean takedown. And then Avery did something no one expected. She turned her back, turned away from a wounded enemy, walked off the field. Unprotected. Unarmed. Undefeated. The council chamber was dead quiet. Some tried to speak. Others couldn't find words. Finally, the council speaker, a being of pure light, gave the only sentence that mattered. The challenge is complete. No further objections will be heard. In the days that followed, the galaxy trembled, not from the duel, but from what it revealed. Humans didn't need strength. They didn't need numbers. They didn't need tools, because they had something far more terrifying. Control. The warlord had lost not because he was weaker, but because he didn't understand what he was fighting. He thought he was challenging muscle, but he had challenged will, and that was the mistake many species had made. For generations, the footage of Avery's duel became the most viewed moment in interstellar history. Not for the fight, but for the moment before the fight. The stillness. The silence. The calm before the storm. That never had to break, because the real storm was inside her, caged, waiting, never released. From that day on, no one challenged the humans again, not because they feared losing, but because they feared what it might cost to win. It had been nearly 20 galactic cycles since the rule was written into council law. No human shall enter the council chambers armed. But the truth behind it, The real reason had never been spoken aloud, not in full. Not until now, on a quiet morning. Inside the great floating halls of the Galactic Council, a young alien child wandered too far from her guardian. She was from the Avalari, a soft-spoken species made of light threads and shifting energy. Her kind were peaceful, curious, and wise beyond their years. She wandered near the human delegation chamber. The doors were open. Inside stood Ambassador Silas Wren, alone, facing a window that showed the stars. The child stepped in silently, her feet making no sound. She looked up at him. Her voice was small. "Sir, may I ask something?" The human turned slowly. He smiled, a soft, tired smile. "Of course." The child fidgeted. "Why don't you carry weapons? All the others do." For a long time, Silas said nothing. His eyes drifted to the stars again. Finally he spoke, slowly, gently. "Because we don't need to." "But why not?" she asked. "You're small, soft, no armor, no claws, not even fangs." Silas chuckled. "You've done your homework," she smiled shyly. "We studied humans in class." He nodded, then walked to a console and pressed a small crystal. A hologram lit the room. Not a battle, not a duel, but a field, earth, blue skies, green grass. "Do you know what this is?" he asked. "Your home?" "Part of it," he said. "This was the field behind my school. I used to run here as a child, with friends. We played, we laughed. We threw rocks and raced to the trees." He paused. "One day, there was a boy who bullied others. Bigger, meaner. He hit a friend of mine. I got angry." "What did you do?" Silas smiled sadly. "I didn't punch him. I didn't scream. I walked up, looked him in the eye, and asked him why. Why he needed to hurt others to feel big." The child blinked. "And?" Silas turned off the hologram, he cried. She looked confused. He cried? "Humans are strange," Silas said. "We cry when we win. We cry when we lose. We cry when we laugh. We are complicated." He knelt down to her height. "But deep inside us there is something else. Something not born from peace or war, but from survival. It was built in the caves when we had nothing but fire and fear. It was sharpened during the wars, refined during loss, and taught to every child, not with words, but through life." He looked her in the eyes. "You asked why we walk alone. Why we don't carry weapons." She nodded slowly. "Because when a human carries a weapon," he said softly, "they're already at the edge." The room fell quiet. Silas stood, straightened his jacket. "We carry pain," he said. "We carry memory. Our weapons are inside us. The anger we tame, the power we hold back, the rage we lock away every day, with reason, with kindness, with hope." The child said nothing. "Other species," Silas continued, "they use weapons to feel powerful. But humans—" He looked toward the door, where other ambassadors were arriving. "Humans only use weapons when they give up on everything else. And by then, it's too late." The child left quietly, heart full of a strange feeling. That day, during the session, the council reviewed an update to the unarmed rule. A few younger members, bold and new, questioned the fairness. One ambassador from a distant colony stood and said, "Is it still necessary? Humans have shown peace for many cycles. Let us honor their trust by removing the rule." The room murmured in agreement. Silas Wren stood. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't plead. He just looked around and said, "No." Some were surprised. "But it protects you." "No," Silas said. "It protects you." A long silence followed. Silas placed a small data drive on the table. "This file contains black box footage from the ship Sparrowfall, lost 12 years ago in the Dareth cluster." The screen activated. Grainy footage showed a quiet freighter attacked by pirates, crew unarmed. One human on board. The footage blurred. Screams, motion, blood. Then, silence. The attackers were gone. The human remained, kneeling, sobbing. The screen turned off. Silas looked around the room, calmly. Give a human a weapon, and you give their restraint a reason to step aside. The council did not vote on the rule again. That it remained unchanged, unquestioned, unspoken. But now, understood. Later, in quiet rooms and private journals, scholars and philosophers began writing down the truth. At last, humans were not feared because they were violent. They were feared because they choose not to be. And that choice is made every single day. Because the day a human stops choosing, the galaxy changes forever. And that is why, even now, when humans walk the halls of power, they walk unarmed, not because they are safe, but because they are containing something. Something ancient. Something terrible. Something they pray never needs to awaken again. They walk alone, and the galaxy lets them.